Hi guys, and welcome again with a new video. Okay, in this video we'll create a website with advanced CSS without any image and any JavaScript. This is a part 2 and I have part 1 in my channel for beginner. If you guys want something simple, you can watch a part 1 to start creating website. And if you don't like using a before and after the CSS for creating a square and a circle as a background, here is my other video that I created with full image in my channel. You can see it. And that's it. So if you're ready, let's create something amazing. So now in HTML, I will create a hero for this hero div. And now inside the hero, let's create a header div for a menu. So in the header, I will create a h1. Let's type a logo and add the class this logo. Okay, now let me create a menu for the nav list menu. Okay, let me just create it, and the class name be a nav. Now the first list be a home, and the second list should be about, third list should be a blog, and the fourth list be a contact. Okay, now we create a header. Now we want to create a box for this title and this circle square. So let me just create a div for it, and let me just name it a grid box. Now in a grid box, I will create a div for the title and the div square and circle. So first div be a title, and let me just type h1 AI payment generation, and for the p, let me just copy this and paste it, and instead of typing, okay, this is our p, and now this is our title, and I want to create a div for the square and circle. So let me just name it home background or home bg. Okay, now inside the home bg, let me create a square, circle, and circle 2. Okay, now one last thing I want to add is create this 2 arrow, as you can see in the first video. So I will create inside the circle, and let me just name it circle rotate. Now copy and paste it. Okay, this is our title, and this is our square and circle. Okay, now this is our home hero page. Now let me just create a about section. So let me just create a section, and let me just create a div about. Now inside about, let me just create a div and name it text to add the text inside it. h1 explore the payment, and for the p, let me just copy this and paste it. Okay, and to be nice. Okay, now this is our text, which is a center. Now I want to create these 3 boxes. So I will create a first div and name it about row to be a boss of the 3 box. Okay, now inside about row, I will create a row. This is a box that I want to add the icon and text. Okay, now inside the row, I will create an icon div, and let me add the icon and text again. Let me just add a text. Okay, so this is our text and the icon inside the row, and inside the about row we want to add the display for the about row to be now just copy this 3 row, and let me just copy and paste it 2 times. Okay, and let me just change it fast, icon and the text. Now next is creating a by page to add something new for the website for the part 2. So I will create another section or new section, and let me create a by page. Okay, now inside the by, which is our bus, I will create a by row, just like I did about row, by row. Now let me just create a row 2 instead of row 1, because I want to add something different, which is from the row 1. And you will see in CSS when I style it a row 2. Okay, now let me just add the icon and text. Icon 2. Let me just add the icon and the text. Okay, and add a link for it. Be a by now. Okay, now just add 2 more div inside the row 2. Let me just explain why I create a 3 div for it for this row 2, because I want to add a display flags. And let me just create a 3 div for it because we need it for this, and I will show you in CSS why we need a 3 div inside the row 2. Okay, I create a div 1 and a div 2. Now just copy by row. Okay, and now let me just change the text. Okay, check out. Yes, and for this. Okay, now let me just replace this be up in a row 2 and be a 1. Okay, and this be a div 2 and this be a div 1, and add a square by, because I want to add a square in the center of this by page. Square by. Okay, this is a by page, and you will see inside of the CSS how we created this website, and I will explain more about that in a CSS. Now next section, let me create a contact section. Contact. Now add the text h1. Let me just copy and paste it to go in a CSS fast. So, and let me just create a form for it. Yes, form action deleted because we don't have the PHP. Okay, now input type be a text and the placeholder. Enter your name. Let me just copy paste it. Email. Enter your email. And the text area. Placeholder. Let me add it. And enter your description. Okay, let me add a button. And let me type a button. Okay, type be a button, and inside it be, oh I'm sorry, type be a submit, and inside it be a submit. Okay, this is our button, and this is our contact page. Now next is a footer section. Let me just create it fast. Okay, section. Now let me add a class, a BG footer, because I want to add a background for this footer, as you can see in the first video. So let me just add a class list and name it BG footer as a background footer. Okay, now inside this, let me create a footer div and the text h1 logo and the p, and p be a new way with AI payment. Okay, now let me add a flex footer and let me add a cool for the a link to be inside it, to add a display flex action column. Okay, let me add the p useful link. Okay, and let me add a link. First one be a contact, first one be a content, copy paste content, and be a work, second one, third one be a create, explore for the fourth one, explore, and terms and services. And let me just copy this cool and paste it. Okay, now let me just change it, help, or you know what, now better. Yes, I think now better. Okay, this is our footer page, and the last section is the footer page. And let me add another section for the copyright. So let me add a last section, and the class list, let me add it last. Let me add a div, name it copyright. Now inside the copyright, add a text and a p, logo alright received, logo alright received. There we go. And this is our last section. Okay, and this is our HTML, and let me just add a link style sheet for it. So the link style sheet, yes, CSS, and the media for it. Link style sheet media. Okay, now let's go for the CSS. Okay, now for the CSS, let me add a star to add the margin 0, padding 0, and the font family be a system UI. Okay, now let me add the body, the color be a ghost white, background, let me add this color 0D1C. Okay, now overflow X hidden, and the position relative. So this is our body color and the background. Now let me add a WebKit scroll bar, and if you want guys to add it, you can pause a video and just type it. This is for the scroll bar to style it. And okay, and let me add a hero. So this is our home page of the hero. Let me add the width 100% and the height 100 ph. And I add a position relative because I want to add this circle, if you see in the first video guys of this. Okay, now I will add it, and hero before, the content be empty, position absolute, top -4%, and the left 18%, transform translate -50%, -50%. Now set the width and the height, let's be 350 pixel. Okay, now for the background, and let be this color CCFF. Okay, and the border radius 15%. Okay, now let me add the filter to add a blur, to be a bluish. Let me just add it, filter blur, and set it 100 pixel. Now as you can see it, this is our circle background if you see in the first video. Okay, and this is the hero before. Now let's go for the header to style it. So let me just start with the header. Add the padding 40 pixel, 10%, display flex, just save our content, the space between, and align item, yes, center. Add the position relative. Okay, now let me just call the nav, and let me add the display flex for the menu, and the list style type BNR. Good. Next, let me just call list a link, nav LIA. Okay, the color be a ghost white, text correction BNR, padding 10 pixel, 30 pixel. The margin is 0 pixel, 10 pixel. And let me add a transition. Listen 1 second. Okay. Now let me add a hover for it. So let me just copy paste it. Add the hover. Now for the now let me add a box shadow for it. So the box shadow 0 pixel, 0 pixel, 70 pixel, and be a this color CCFF 79. And the next one you can copy and paste it. Let me just copy paste it. Okay, and be 15 pixel. Now let me add inset to color be inside it. So 5 pixel, 0 pixel, 5 pixel. The color be this, the same. Another inset minus 5 pixel, minus 5 pixel, 5 pixel RGB. Okay, this is RGB. That's inset 30 pixel, 10 pixel, 35 pixel, and 5 pixel RGB of this. Okay, now let me add a border radius 20 pixel. Yes, this is enough. And this is our hover, as you can see in the website. Okay, next let me add a logo. Let me just add the font size 2.5 rem. And yeah, okay, now let me add a span color. So a span, let the color be this, the same color that we added here, CCFF. And let me just add it in HTML. I just forgot to add it, and let me here. Okay, and this span. Okay, there we go. This is our span. Now let me add H1, H3, and a P to add the font size and max width. So H3 font size 1.6 rem, font weight 500, margin bottom 10 pixel, and the line height 35 pixel, and the max width 500 pixel. Okay, now let me add the H1. Oh, let me just copy and paste it. Let me just, the font size be 2.5. Okay, and instead of line height, let me add the letter spacing for it 2 pixel. Let me just remove a max width, we don't need it. Okay, copy paste it again. Let me just change it to P, and let me add the line height. Font size be 1.3 rem, and the margin bottom be a 35 pixel. There we go. Now let me add the section to add the padding for it. So section padding 0 pixel, 10%, 170 pixel, 10%. Okay, now let me add the custom font size for the title. So as we name it at the title, let me just type a title, or I just copy this, paste it, title. Okay, and this be title, and I want to add the max width for it. Okay, and this max width, let me 3.5 rem for the H1. That's enough. Okay, this is our title, and let me add a grid box for the title and for this square and circle. So in a grid box, display grid template column repeat 2 1 of 5, and align item be as center. Instead of flex, I use a display grid for this. Okay, now the position absolute, padding 0 pixel, 10%, set the width 100%, and the height 60%. The top 15%, left 0%, and add a transform, translate Y minus 50% to be a center in this hero page, as you can see it. And as you can see, I add the width and the height because I want to create a square and circle So this is needed for this square and circle. We must add it. Now let me just create a home background, which is the box of the square and circle, because I want to add the width and the height for it. So set the width and the height 100%, and add the position relative because I want to create a square inside it. Okay. Now before to start a square, I want to add a circle just like we added for the hero before. So let me just copy paste it here, hero before. Okay, let me just paste it here. Let me just change a name to the home BG before. Okay, now let me just change the top position 15% and this be a 15%. Okay, transparency is the same, and be the set the width and the height 450 pixel. Okay, and for the filter blur, set it to 115 pixel, 150 pixel. Yeah. Okay, and this is our home BG background. As you can see, the circle, we add a blue for it. So now let's create a square and the circle and a circle too. And let me create animation in the last session. So just we start the whole website and then we start the animation. So a square, or you know what, let me just copy paste it, and yeah, let me add a rotate for it 45 degree, set the width and the height 270 pixel, 270 pixel. Now for the background, oh, I need the border radius 15 pixel. Okay, now for the background, let me just set it for it. Okay, this is our background. And for the box shadow, just like we added in the menu, let me just copy and paste it, and here. Okay, let me just paste it. Okay, let me add a transition for hover. Okay, this is our box shadow. Yes, now let me just copy and paste it 2 times for the circle. Let me just add a space. Okay, circle and circle 2. Position for the circle be a 9% for the top, and for the left be the same 15%. And let me add rotate. Okay, and let me set the width and the height 150 pixel. Border radius set it to 50%. There we go. And yeah, that's it. Let me just copy paste it. Now for the circle to top be 80% and the left be a -2, and set the width and the height 100 pixel, 100 pixel. Okay, and this is for the circle too. Now let me just create inside it before and after inside the circle and square, as you can see in the first video. So let me just copy this and paste it. Type a circle to before and square before and circle before. Okay, set the top and the left 15%. Okay, now for the width and the height, set it 70%. Okay, 70%. And the border radius be a 15 pixel. Okay, change the box shadow. Let me just delete this. Okay, and for this be a 30 pixel instead of 70 pixel, and this be a 35 pixel, and this be a 35 pixel. Let me just change the RGB for this and let be a 4. Okay, this is our box shadow, as you can see in the website. Now for the after, let me just copy paste it. Okay, after. Now for the after, top and left be the same, and set the width and the height 25%. Okay, 25%. Oh, I didn't change the background. Let me change it. Okay, D1 C8 C. Zero 9. And let me add the border 2 pixels solid, and the color be a this. For this it be 7, and this is border 2 pixels solid and this color. Yeah, now much better. Yeah, I think now much better. Okay, everything is set. Let's go for creating hover. So let me just copy paste hover. Okay, let me add a background. The color be this A9 C5, and the box shadow, let me just copy paste it again. Okay, this box shadow. Let me add another color for it. So insert again, and the color be ghost white. Okay, this is a next color. Yeah, not much better. Now let me just see website. Okay, let me just why this happened. The circle is the position. Oh, the left be a 90%. I'm sorry guys, circle be 90% left. Yeah, now for the after, the box shadow, I think, yes, after. Let me just change a box shadow for the after. So the box shadow for the after be this instead of that. And yeah, this is the same box shadow, just add a color of this white for this after. Okay, now let me create a circle rotate for this. Circle rotate, position be absolute, set the width and the height 100%. Okay, and let me add a before and after for this. Okay, before, and let me just copy paste it. The top and the left of the before, let be 8%, and this left be a 10%. Okay, now the set width and the height 66% and 73%. Now let me add a border top for this. So border top 2 pixels solid, this color, and the border top, border top left radius. Okay, border top left radius. And let me add this index -1. Now let me just copy and paste it again for the after. Okay, now for the after, the top be 89% and the left be 93%. 93%. Now set the width and that be the same. Okay, let me just change the top be a bottom and this be a bottom right instead of left. Okay, and yeah, everything is good. Let's go for the next. The rotate. Okay, delete it. I think now is better. Yep, now everything is better. Let's go for creating about page. So in about page, let me add a display. Great. And get a template column. Repeat 1 align item center, position, relative, grid gap 100 pixel, and text align center. Okay, now for about before, Let me just copy this home background that we added. Okay, here we go. Copy, paste it here, and let me add a z-index for it, -5, and what it is. Now for the width and the height, 300 pixel, and the left. Now for the top, be 121%, and the left -8%. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is a before. Now let me add about row to add display flex. Add a display flex for it, and the grid gap, 15 pixel. Now let me add a row and row 2. So row 2, add a display flex, flex action, column, and the line item center, grid gap 100 pixel for distance, space, and the position relative. Now add a padding 15 pixel, a little padding for this, and let me add a flex 120%. I need the flex. Okay, this is our flex. Now let me create an icon and icon 2 to add a position relative, because I want to create a before and after. Okay, now for the icon, to set the font size, icon, ion icon, and icon 2, and icon 2, ion icon. Okay, set the font size 2.0, color ghost white, and the padding 10 pixel. Set the background be a transparent, and for box shadow, let me use let's just copy this black. Where is it? Yes, this is it. Let's use this box shadow for this icon. Okay, yes, everything is good. Now add the border radius 15%, and let me add a little border, small border, like 1 pixel, solid, same color. Okay, this is the icon, and let me add a square inside the icon. Okay, so inside the icon, let me just create a before, and let me just copy the square style. So square style, this is it. Just copy and paste it. I don't need a transition for this, and set the width and the height 100%, 100 pixel. Okay, background and the box shadow be the same. Yep, and yeah, everything is good. Now for the icon 2 before, set the width and the height be the same. Just instead of background, let me transparent. This is for the row 2 in a section of the by row. This is the icon 2 before, as you can see it. Now for the row before, now for the background of the icon and the text, let me create a row before. Let me just copy and paste it. Remove and rotate. Set the width 100% and the height 135%. Okay, now let me add a background transparent, and we use this. Okay, this is a background and the box shadow, and the border radius 15 pixel, and this index -5. And let me add a transition for the hover. Okay, now let me add the hover, row, hover, before, and the box shadow. Yeah, this. Let me use. Okay, this is our box shadow. Okay, guys, before we go for the by page, let me add a link style. So let me just add the text A. Set the font size 1.2 rem, padding 15 pixel, 25 pixel. text decoration, none. Color be a ghost white. Position relative, z index 1. Now let me add a transition, and let me add a cubic bezier for it. So let me just copy this cubic bezier that I use most of the time. Okay, this is a cubic bezier, and let me add a border radius 40 pixel, background, okay. Now for the box shadow, just copy this and paste it. This is a box shadow, and let me just, this is be 0 pixel, 0 pixel, and let me just add this color for it, be a 2 pixel, and this be instead of 70 pixel, 10 pixel, and let me add a border 2 pixel solid, and the color be this 6F1 C2. Okay, this is the border. Now let me add a hover, and we create after for this. So now for the hover A, the border 2 pixel solid, and the color be this. Now the box shadow, let me add a same box shadow. Let me just copy this and paste it. Okay, the same box shadow, and let me just set it to 2 pixel, 0 pixel, and 0 pixel, and yeah. Now this be a 2 pixel. Okay, this is the text A hover. Now for the creating after for this, I create a before for this. So text A before, let me just create a before for this. So let me just copy this again and paste it most of the time. Content, let me just copy instead of typing. Now the position top be a 53%, and for the width and the height 0 pixel, and be this 2 pixel. Okay, remove a rotate. Okay, now let me add the background and box shadow. So background be the same. This is the background and the box shadow, and let me just, okay, now paste it here. Here we go. Now let me add the border radius 15%, border radius 15%. Now the transition, let me just copy again this cubic bezier that I added here and paste it. This is our transition. And for the hover of the before, okay, hover before, add the width to create a line inside the A link. So the width be 225 pixel. Okay, this is our before in A link, as you can see it. And we add a transition, a cubic bezier to add something amazing in style of animation, as you can see in hover. Okay, now let me now let's create a buy page. Okay, now let me create a buy. Let me add a padding 170 pixels, 0%, add the position relative. Let me just create a buy before to create a line in the center of these 3 boxes. So let me just copy this and paste it, be a buy, and set the width 120%, height be a 2 pixel the same, and let me add a rotate 90 degree. Now the box shadow, the background, let me just change the background be this color, and the box shadow be the same, nothing weird. Box shadow be the same, and the border radius be the same. And let me just add a border for this. So border 2 pixels solid, and the color be this. And this is a line in the center of this buy page, as you can see it now. Okay, now let me create a by row. For the row, by row, let me add a display flex and the justify content be a space between, to have a space for the div1 and the div2 and this row as you can see it now. Okay, and align item be a center, and the grid gap to add distance 50 pixel, and let me add a padding 100 pixel 0 pixel, and the text align center. Here we go. This is a by row as you can see it. Now let me create a div1 and the div2 to add a width and height for it. So div1 and the div2, set the width and the height 100%. Okay, now let me add the content and the position relative to create a before for the div2. So let me just create a div2 and let me copy this home background or about, yes, about before. Let me just copy this and paste it here, name it div2. Okay, in a div2 the top and the left be a 50%, be in center, and let me add 200 pixel, and this be a 200 pixel for this and set the width and the height 200 pixel. Okay, now the background be the same, and just reduce a blur and the filter, and let be a 90 pixel. Here we go. This is our div2. So now we add the by row and the div1 and div2 and the div2 before. Everything makes sense as you can see now. Now let me just create a square in the center of this page as you can see in the first video. So let me just call it square by, and let me just copy a style of the square. Where is it? Oh, here we go. This is the square. Copy and paste it, and change width 200 pixel and the height 200 pixel. Okay, and no need for a transition. Here we go. This is our square by, and let me I just forget to add it in a before and after. Okay, now add it in this before and after. Here we go. As you can see, this is a square inside the by page. Okay, everything is created and everything nice, and we just need to create a contact and a footer. So for the contact, add display grid and a grid template column, repeat to 1 of 1, line item center. We have the toolbox, so I added the grid repeat to 1 of 1. Okay, set position relative and the grid gap for the distance 50 pixel. Now let me just create a form to add a flex dash and column. So in a form, add a display flex and the justify content be a center, align item center, and add a flex action column and the position relative. Okay, now let me just create a before in a background for this form. So let me just copy the square style again and paste it here, and let's be a form before. Okay, now set the width 90% and the height 80%. Okay, and the box shadow, let me just change it to the black. Let me just use this black box shadow. Where is it? Oh, here it is. And then we don't need the background, so I just remove this background. Just need the box shadow for this. There we go. Now let's nice, and let me add a z index -2. This is a form before we created. Now let's create an input and a text area. So for the style of the input, let me just call it, set the width 300 pixel, height 50 pixel, margin 20 pixel, 0 pixel, and the background, let me just copy and paste. I just copy and paste it. Okay, and let me just 20 pixel and 5 pixel. Okay, 5 pixel again. Okay, now add the border radius 15 pixel, padding 20 pixel, to add a little padding for this, and the border 2 pixels, solid, color be gray, simple, and the color of this input equals white. Now let me add a transition cubic bezier. So let me just find a cubic bezier of text A. Oh, here we go. Copy and paste it here. Now let me add a text area. So in a text area, just copy and this and paste it. Let me a text area. Let me just change height to 170 pixel. Everything is good, I think. Yes, yeah, everything is good. Everything is good. Okay, now let me just create font input hover. Font input hover. Now inside the hover, let me add let me increase a width for it. So the width is 360 pixel. Okay, and for text area, or let me add a placeholder to color up. So input placeholder, let me just change a color to ghost white. Okay, and for the hover of the text area, copy paste text area, set the width 400 pixel. Okay, now let me install a button. So in a button, let me just copy a link style. Let me assemble a link. Here we go, just copy and paste it. The padding is same, font size be the same, and no need to change it. Color be the same, and yes. Let me just change the background be a transparent, and this box shadow, I think yes, I think box shadow be the same, and this be 5 pixel. Set of 0 pixel and 5 pixel again. Okay, and this can be 5 pixel. Now let me add the width to 1 pixel and the cursor pointer. Okay, now let me add a hover for it. So button hover, and let me just add 300 pixel for the width. Oh, let me just create a before for this, like a line in a link as we created. So let me just copy again a line and paste it. I just copy and paste it. I'm sorry for this, guys. Okay, and let me just paste it here. Change a name to the button before. And for the button before, be a same style. I think we don't need to change it. Yes. And let me just create a hover for the button before. Set the width 400 pixel. Nice. Let me just see a website. Okay, font. Oh, let's go for the HTML and see what happened. Oh, set it to inside of a content. And now I think yes, and now fix it. Okay, let's go for the footer, guys. I'm sorry for for the problem. Footer, padding top, display, flex, justify content, space between, let me, okay, and align item, yeah, sent. Okay, now for the flex footer, add a display flex. To add a display flex for this a linker. Now for the cool, I want to add a flex station column. So color cool, display flex again, and the flex section column. Now everything is in next line, as you can see. Now the margin set it to 0 pixel, 75 pixel. Okay, now let me just style a link of the cool. The color be this a BE6 and F1C0. Margin bottom 10 pixel. Text decoration now. And the font size 1.2 rem. Font weight 400. Transition added in the position relative to create a buffer for this square. So in a hover, let me just create a hover to add the buffer in. In a hover, I want to add a color, here goes white. And another cool thing I want to add it is a transform scale 1.2. As you can see, this is a hover after a link. Okay, now for the cool a after. Let me just copy this square again, style, and paste it, or circle, as you can see. Square or circle doesn't matter, just square, and let me cool a after. Okay, now change a left minus 28%, and for the width and the height 20 pixel. Be a little small circle. So, and the box shadow, let me just change a setting. Yes, everything is good. Yep. And now let me just create a hover for this after. So in a hover, let me add this box shadow of black color. Let me just find it with the background transparent, and let me just copy and paste it. Background be transparent, and the box shadow be this. Or you know what, let me add this inset. Let me add this inset again. Okay, and what happened? Okay, A2 this color. Okay, now better. Now let me just create a BG footer, because I want to create a background for this footer. So BG footer, I want to set a position relative to create a buffer for it. So in a footer before, BG footer before, okay, add the content empty, or you know what, let me just copy again, paste it. Let me just find, okay, this is good, I think. Let me just copy and paste it here. And the top be a 60%, and the left 50%, same. Transform be the same, and this be 100%. Height 110%. Okay, and the box shadow, let be a black color. So yeah, something like this. So I copy. Okay, something like this. Let me just change the setting, be 15 pixel this. Okay, this is a box shadow, and this index -2. Now let me just add the last, and let's go for the animation. So in the last, add the padding 0 pixel and 10%. Okay, now add the copyright, I think copyright, right? Copyright, oh, copyright. Okay, set the position relative to create a line, and for the line, copyright before. Let me just copy and paste it again. Set the width -15%, and the left 50%, 100%, and this be 2 pixel. Height be a 2 pixel, and add the background yes, be a white, and let me just add the box shadow of a square, not this. Okay, where is it? Yes, this is it. This is a box shadow for this. Okay, now let me add a border radius 15%. Okay, here we go, guys. We installed the website with this style, as you can see it. So let me just see a website now. Oh, I didn't add after. Sorry for this, guys. Let me add this before. Now everything is set for this before and after, guys. As you can see now, now we create a website with this style. Everything is set, as you can see it. We have the display grid and other stuff. So now for the animation, I start with a square. So in a square, let's create animation. Okay, let me just create animation. Shimmy, 8 seconds, linear, forwards, influence. Now for the circle 2 and the circle, let me just copy paste. Okay, this be a Kimi 2, this be a Kimi 3. And for the time of the animation, this be a 13 second, yes, good. Now for keyframes, I start with the keyframes Kimi of square. So 0% be the same, 0%. So 0% be the same. Transform translate minus 50% and minus 50% and add a rotate 45 degree. Be the same transform. Okay, now let me just add a 25%. Okay, now 25%. I just add a skew and be a 14 degree, 15 degree. And in case of guys, if you didn't watch this video, you just go to the inspect of the Chrome and just add a transform and add a skew, the first number for the left and the second number for the right side, as you can see it. So just increase the number. If you think this is good for your animation, add it in keyframes. Just keep change after this number and you will see this better the skew. So this is a 25% of the animation. Now for the 50%, copy paste it. For the skew be 80 degree, 7 degree. And now let me add the 51%. Okay, 51%. Let me add a skew be 14 degree, 7 degree. And let me add a scale to become big. So a scale be a 1.4. And let me add a border radius to become circle, 15%. Okay, now add a, now let me add a 75%. 75%. Now change, now just remove skew and the scale, and this be a normal border radius be a 15 pixel to become back of the square. And in 90%, copy this and paste it. Okay, for the scale be the same, and for the skew be a 3 degree, 12 degree. Okay. And border radius again be a 15% to become circle. So now for the 100% be the same position of the point start. There we go. This is our animation for the square. Now for the circle, guys, let me just copy this and paste it. Okay, now let me just remove a skew from 25% and 50%. Okay, just remove it. And for the 51%, add a skew 4 degree, 13 degree, remove the scale because we don't need it anymore, and this is scale. Okay, now for 75%, and yeah, and okay, for 90%, 12 degree, 6 degree. Okay, now let me just change a rotate, 85 degree, 120 degree for the rotate, and this be 130 degree, 210 degree, and this be at 0 degree, and this be a 45 degree. Be the same. Oh, let me just change of the border radius. I just forgot it to 15 pixel of this, and be this 15%, 15 pixel again, 15 pixel, and this be 15%. There we go. This is the animation of the Kimi 2, and for the Kimi 3, let me just copy again and paste it. This is a Kimi 3. So transform be the same. Just let me skew, remove it from 51% and add it in a 15%, and this just remove it to 75%. Now for the skew of the 50%, we at 12 degree, 5 degree, and 4 degree, 16 degree, and yeah, the same keyframes. Just change the skew for the keyframes. Okay, now let me just create a rotate for this two arrow, as you can see in a circle. So let's go back for the circle rotate. Let me just copy this and paste it. Okay, circle rotate, here we go. Let me add a rotate, and the second time be a 3 seconds. So let me just create here keyframes, and the rotate 0%, the transform rotate be a 0 degree, 0 degree, and in a 15%, let me just copy and paste it. Okay, 15%, 100%. Now in this 15%, minus 180 degree, and this be minus 360 degree. And as you can see, this is animation of the rotate. It just keep rotating. And by the way, you can add a cubic Bezier instead of linear. As you can see, just let me just copy it, and I can just copy this here and paste it instead of a linear. And as you can see, this is animation with a cubic Bezier instead of a linear. I think it's not bad, but I go with a linear. I just don't like a cubic Bezier in animation sometimes, so I use a linear in this case. And for the animation of the before and after, just copy. Let me just copy this Kimi 2 animation. Where is it? Yes, here we go. And for before and after, let me just paste it. Yes, there we go. And this and this. Now let me just change a second of the before to be 15 seconds, and this be 17 seconds. Okay, and instead of this linear, let me just change it to cubic Bezier. For this be this cubic Bezier, and for this after, let me this cubic Bezier that I use it most of the time. As I said, guys, this is a cubic Bezier, and this is the animation of the before and after, as you can see in the website. Okay, let me add a scale animation. So let me just go back to the circle of this style, and let me add a scale for this circle, and the time animation scale up, scales 1 second, linear forwards. Now let me add an animation delay to start the animation in a 3 second again. Okay, this is the animation delay, and let me just copy this, paste it. Okay, yes, the animation delay of this circle too, let be a 5 second. Okay, now for the scale, just add this in a transform, scale 0, and for this circle to scale 0 again. Let me just copy and paste it here, and for scale, let me just change a name, and let me just copy this and paste it for the 0%, and for the 100% let be a 1.0. And by the way guys, if you use this animation of the scales, the animation of the keyframes Kimi2 and the Kimi3 will not start the animation, because we use a scale instead of this rotate or rotate is this, so the animation will start with a scale. And if you don't like a scale, you can just remove it and keep going with this Kimi2 and the Kimi3. Let me just copy this animation square. Where is it? Okay, copy it and paste it in a square by here to start the animation. And for this form before, let me just create something, a new animation, Kimi4, and let me just copy these keyframes of the Kimi forms of Kimi1. Yes, just copy this, paste it. Where is it? Form before, here we go. This is, let me change a name to the Kimi4. And now for the 0%, let me add a border radius 30%, and in 51% be a same 15%, be at this 30% of the 75%, and this be, and 100% be a 30% again. This is the border radius, and this is animation of the Kimi4s, as you can see it guys. So this is everything, and I just forget to add it in this again footer. Where is the footer? And let me just add it in a link of the footer, cool a after. Okay, here is it. And let me add a Kimi2 instead of Kimi4, and here we go. This is our animation guys, as you can see it. Hope you love it, and use animation and how to create a skew for this animation. Okay, now for the media, let's go for the media and start with this media max width, and I will resize the H3 first. Font size 1.4 rem, and H1 and P. Yes, H1 and P. Now for the H1 be a 2.3 rem, and P be a 1.1 rem. And let me add the title H1 to resize it. Title H1. The font size be a 3.2 instead of 3.5. Okay. And now for the header, I want to decrease the padding for it. So the padding 40 pixel, 8%. And for the grid box, that we have a title and the circle. Grid box. Okay. And the padding 0 pixel, 8%. And the section, and for the section, let me add the padding 0 pixel, 8%, and 70 pixel, 8%. And this is our section. Now for the next media, I just copy this and paste it. Okay, I don't need to resize H3 and the P, so I just remove this, and I just remove this two header and this. We don't need to resize the padding. So for the H1 be a 2.1 rem, and the title, and let me just remove this again, and let me just resize a link of the text. So let the font size be a 1.0 rem, And now let me resize a hero before. As you can see, this circle. So hero before, transform translate -50%, -50%, and add a scale 0.8. And by the way, guys, if you didn't watch this video that how to resize a before and after, I recommend to watch this video because you will learn how to resize a before and after instead of width and the height. I think using a scale is better with the width and height sometimes. So I use a scale to resize this before of the hero, as you can see it. And let me just resize the home background of this square and circle. Okay, let me just resize this background circle, and let me just copy and paste it. Let me as 0.6 for this scale, and for the home background, let me just, instead of width and height, let me use a scale, transform a scale 0.8. Not much different. You know what, let's resize it with the width and the height. So circle, let me resize it with the width and the height instead of a scale. So the width 120 pixel, height 120 pixel. Let me change the top 60% and the left 91%. And for the square, let me width and 240 pixel. Okay, this is a square. And for the circle too, set the width and the height 75 pixel. Height 75 pixel. Okay, and this is a circle too. And now for the square by of this, let me 160 pixel. Okay, and for the core of this A-link, let me reduce a margin 0 pixel, 60 pixel. Okay, now for the next media, let me just copy paste it of this here. Okay, now for H3 1.2 RAM, max width be none for this H1, and the title is 3.0. For the P 1.0 RAM, max width, we don't have a max width, I'm sorry. Okay, for the section and for the header, let be a 6% and this be a 6%, left 6%, 6%. Yep, now everything is good. Now let me resize this div to before of this circle, as you can see it here. So div to before, set the width 100 pixel and the height 100 pixel. Okay, now for the font before, let me left 35% for the left. Okay, and let me just reduce A-link margin. So the cool, set a margin 0 pixel, 30 pixel. Okay, and this is this media. And the next media, again, let me just copy and let me just copy this and paste it. I'm sorry. Okay, copy paste. I don't need to start a P and H3. I just need to start H1 and the title H1 and the title P. I think yes, title P. Title P. P 1.0 max width BN1. Max width, not height BN1, because I want to add a text align center. So max width BN1 and this be a max width BN1. And for the H1 be a 1.7 RAM. For the title H1 2.8 RAM. Okay, and now for the section, and now for the header 4% of this. 4%, 120 pixel, 4%. Okay, we just resize this padding, and now let me resize nav lia. So nav lia. Okay, nav lia. Set the padding 10 pixel, 20 pixel, and the margin 0 pixel, 5 pixel. And now let me add a grid box. I'm sorry. And now let me add this grid box, grid template column, set it to the repeat 1 over to be in the next line. Okay, and the text align center now. Good. Now for the hero before, let me again resize it. Hero before. Resize it to transform, translate minus 50%, minus 50%, and the scale be 0.7. Now for the home BG, let me resize it to transform scale 0.8, and let me change the position of the circle. Let be at top 0, and the circle 2 top 164%, left 2% of this position of the circle 2. And now for the about, let me add a grid rotate about, let me add a grid template column, repeat 1 over in the next line. Okay, and about row, display flex, and the flex action column, and yes, and let me add a grid gap for a space 150 pixel. Okay, now let me just call a row to add a justify content center. So row justify content center, and okay, and the flex action column, set it column. Yep, now everything is good, and yes, everything is good. Now for the contact, again let me just copy this, paste it. This is the contact, and let me just resize of a form before. So form before, let me add the left 50% and the width 70%, height 60%, and let me add the footer, text align center, text align center. Now the cool A, for the A link, cool A, the font size let be 1.0 rem, and the cool A after, set the left minus 8% and the width 15 pixel, height 15 pixel. Okay, this is this media. Let me just see it. Yep, everything is good. Now less media. Again, let me just copy and paste it. Okay, just copy and paste it again. Just copy this, paste it, and let me paste it here. Now for the H1 1.4 rem, title 2.6, remove this, and for the header 2%, and the section be a 50 pixel. Okay, and let me remove this again, and the nav lia is set it to 10 pixel, padding 10 pixel. Okay, and let me add the hover. So the hover, let me add the border radius 10 pixel instead of 20 pixel. Okay, everything is good. Let me resize a link. Let me resize of the text a link. So let me just call a text a, and set the font size 0.8 rem. Okay, and now let me just remove this square in the center of this bio page. So call a square by and add a display none to remove this square. Okay, and now let me just resize a square set the width and the height 180 pixel. Okay, and for the circle, let me just change the top and add the width and the height. So the top minus 20%, 22%, and set the width and the height 60 pixel. Okay, now for a circle 2, set the width and the height 90 pixels, and the left at 10%. Okay, now for the footer, let me add the flex section column, and instead of a display flex to another line, flex section column. Okay, now for the form before, let me just remove the animation. So form before, set the width 100%, height 110%, transform translate minus 15% and minus 15%. Animation, yeah, no. I just remove the rotate from transform and everything is good. Okay, now for the row and the row 2, add the order be a 2. Okay, and call a cool to resize this margin margin. Okay, 0 pixel B and 20 pixel. And last one is remove this div 1 and div 2. So call a div 1 and div 2 and add the display none, and we just remove this media, and we just remove this div 1 and div 2, as you can see it. And this is everything of this media. And let me just check it, and you can increase before after this by, as you can see this line in the center. Let me just increase the width and the height, or just add the width and the top. Okay, let me add this. So the top be 44% and for the width be 190%. Okay, this is a by before, and that's it, guys. Okay guys, we done a part 2 of creating advanced website with the CSS. Well, this website made it with no image, so I think it's good for the advanced CSS. But anyway, hope you enjoyed, guys, and make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. If you have a question, guys, or you have a problem with the CSS, add me a comment to answer your question. And if your question wasn't simple, I'll create a nice video with the best detail to solve your problem. And see you in part 3, guys. Bye.